Chris Allingham, the Virtual Weber Bullet. I want to tell you about something I did yesterday that was pretty cool, having to do with going mobile with barbecue. My family had a get-together on New Year's Day yesterday. We didn't get together for Christmas. We were kind of dispersed at in-laws and other places, but we all got together on New Year's Day, had a little white elephant gift exchange, and we did a nacho feed. Everybody brought different components to make nachos, and I said I would bring pulled pork. Problem was, I didn't have any pulled pork. It's been very cold and rainy here. I'm not much of a cold weather barbecue guy, and I didn't have a chance to go out and make my own pulled pork, but I did have a package of Costco pulled pork in the refrigerator, and if you see my video review in the past of that product, it's pretty good in a pinch. I'll put a link to that video in the description. You can check it out. So I had this package of Costco pulled pork, and I cracked it open, and I shredded it by hand down to much finer pieces that would be appropriate as the topping for nachos, and I put them into an old 1980s crock pot that we still have. You probably got a crock pot stored up above your refrigerator in an obscure cabinet somewhere, but anyway, I got it out and I put the pulled pork in there, and I just put the top on and put it in the refrigerator. The next day, before our 2-hour drive to my brother's house, I put the crock pot in the back of my car, and I brought out my Goal Zero lithium-ion power station, put it in the back of my car, and plugged the crock pot into the power station. I set it to low, and we drove the 2 hours to my brother's house, and when we got to about 40 miles away from home, I said to my wife, "Do you smell barbecue?" And by the time we got there 2 hours later, I had piping hot barbecue in the back of my car, and here's a picture of how that looked. We took it into the house, plugged it right in, and I mixed in some Casey Masterpiece barbecue sauce just to kind of moisten it up and to give it a little bit of extra flavor. I didn't want to drench it with sauce. And it was a really popular protein for the nachos, along with some carne asada that my brother made. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that if you happen to have one of these battery power stations, we have one for power outages at our house. You know, we get outages in the wintertime. We get them in the fall when we have fire season here in Northern California. But if you have a power station, you could think about maybe traveling with barbecue and keeping it hot in a crock pot or a slow cooker or some other kind of heated appliance that you would normally use at home. You set it up in the back of your car and take your barbecue with you on the road to a party. Now, I've done this before as well with ribs in the crock pot. One time I did it here at home. I made ribs the day before, so I wouldn't be hassling with it the day of my party. Let them, cool down to room temperature, cut them into individual bones, put them into a Ziploc bag, and then on the day of the party, I put them in the crock pot with maybe a half cup of barbecue sauce just for some moisture and flavor. You could add more if you like really saucy ribs. Put it on low, and within 90 minutes or so, you've got hot ribs, and they're individual bones. That makes it really easy as an appetizer for people to take 1 or 2 bones. I also took some to a work party one time, and I wanted to show my colleagues what I was doing with my barbecue hobby. And I did the same thing in the crock pot, but I preheated them at home with some sauce in the crock pot. And then when it came time to travel the half hour, I put the crock pot right into an empty ice chest in the back of my car, put a bunch of blankets around to keep it warm, and by the time I got there 30 minutes later, they were still just about as hot as when I left the house. You walk into the party with some hot ribs, plug it into the wall, keep them warm, and again, makes for a great appetizer. So anyway, I want to share that idea with you. A crock pot can be an interesting idea for leftover barbecue. I think it would work pretty well for, pulled chicken or maybe shredded beef. I don't think it would work so well for brisket, but give it some thought, use your creativity, and think about how you could use a crock pot for taking your barbecue mobile sometime in the future. And if you got one of these lithium-ion batteries, think about how you can actually heat up your barbecue on the way to the party. Pretty cool. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.